First contact. The wind howled across the Atacama Desert, whipping sand against Dr. Amara Singh's protective goggles as she knelt beside the unusual formation. 20 years of archaeological experience told her this wasn't natural. The perfect hexagonal pattern etched into the rock face couldn't be explained by erosion or geological processes. Her fingers traced the edges of the formation, feeling the impossibly smooth surface beneath decades of accumulated grime. The satellite imaging that had led her here had suggested something unusual, but this was beyond her wildest expectations. Professor Singh, Thomas Reeves, her research assistant, called from several meters away, "You need to see this." Amara stood, brushing sand from her knees as she made her way to where Thomas stood, his drone hovering overhead. The young physicist's face was illuminated by the soft glow of his tablet, his expression a mixture of disbelief and excitement. "The readings are off the charts," he said, turning the screen toward her. "Whatever this structure is, it's generating an electromagnetic field unlike anything I've ever seen. It's as if it's alive." Amara studied the complex waveforms dancing across the screen. After 30 years of searching for evidence of ancient civilizations, she had learned to trust her instincts. This was different. This wasn't human. "Get the ground-penetrating radar," she instructed, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. "And Thomas, no calls yet. Not until we know what we're dealing with." As the sun set behind the distant mountains, casting long shadows across the desert floor, they worked methodically. The radar revealed what they had both suspected. The hexagonal pattern was merely the tip of something much larger buried beneath the sand. Something that stretched nearly half a kilometer into the earth. "Look at this architecture," Thomas whispered, studying the three-dimensional rendering taking shape on his screen. "These aren't random shapes. This is a language." Amara nodded, her throat tight with anticipation. The patterns weren't just decorative. They were systematic, mathematical. She had seen similar formations in ancient sites across the globe, but never with this level of complexity, this precision. As darkness fell, they set up powerful LED floodlights around the site. The artificial illumination cast strange shadows across the geometric patterns, making them seem to shift and move in the darkness. That's when Amara noticed something odd. A small depression near the center of the hexagon, barely visible beneath years of accumulated sand. She brushed away the debris, revealing what appeared to be a simple indentation, no larger than her thumb. But unlike the rest of the structure, this depression wasn't perfectly geometric. It was irregular, almost organic in its shape. "Thomas," she called, "bring me the spectrometer." The readings were unprecedented. Whatever material the structure was made from, it wasn't anything documented in their geological databases. As Amara studied the depression more closely, a wild thought occurred to her. She reached into her pocket, fingers closing around the old silver lighter she always carried, a reminder of her father, who had inspired her love of archaeology. The depression in the alien structure was roughly the same size as the lighter's flame aperture. "Professor," Thomas warned, reading her intention, "we should wait for a full team, proper protocols." But Amara wasn't listening. 20 years of searching for proof, of being ridiculed by her peers for her theories about ancient extraterrestrial contact, it had all led to this moment. With trembling fingers, she flicked the lighter. The tiny flame danced in the desert wind, casting flickering shadows across the alien surface. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like distant thunder, the entire structure began to vibrate. Lines of light, cool and blue, began spreading outward from the depression, following the geometric patterns like electricity through a circuit board. The sand around them shifted as hidden mechanisms, dormant for millennia, slowly awakened. "My God," Thomas breathed, backing away as the ground beneath their feet trembled. "What did you do?" Amara stood transfixed, watching as the ancient machine stirred to life. "We didn't find it, Thomas," she whispered. "It found us. It's been waiting." The light show intensified, creating a dome of ethereal blue energy that stretched into the night sky. Around them, the desert itself seemed to hold its breath as humanity's first true contact with alien intelligence began, not with the arrival of ships from the stars, but with the awakening of something that had been here all along, waiting for the right moment, the right person. And as the structure continued its transformation, Amara realized with both excitement and fear that she had just rewritten human history. The question now was whether humanity was ready for what came next. The price of curiosity. Within hours, the Atacama night was shattered by the thrum of helicopter rotors. Floodlights pierced the darkness as military vehicles converged on the site. Dr. Amara Singh watched with growing unease as soldiers established a perimeter, their weapons trained on the pulsing blue structure. "They got here fast," Thomas muttered, clutching his tablet protectively. "Too fast." "They were waiting," Amara replied, her eyes fixed on the approaching figure. A tall woman in a crisp military uniform, her silver hair pulled back in a severe bun. "They've always been waiting." Colonel Diana Blackwood stopped a few meters away, her sharp eyes taking in the scene. "Dr. Singh, I've read your papers on pre-Columbian astronomical alignments, fascinating theories about ancient stellar navigation, though you left out the part about alien artifacts. Because until today, I couldn't prove it," Amara responded, straightening her spine. "This site confirms everything. Humanity wasn't alone. We've never been alone." The colonel's expression remained neutral, but something flickered in her eyes. "You have no idea how right you are, Doctor. We've been monitoring similar energy signatures across the globe for decades, but none of them ever activated." The revelation hit Amara like a physical blow. There are more? 12 sites, all with identical geometric patterns, all dormant. Blackwood gestured to the pulsing structure. "Until now. Care to explain how you managed what teams of scientists couldn't accomplish in 50 years? Before Amara could respond, a deep resonance emanated from the structure. The geometric patterns shifted, rearranging themselves like pieces of an impossible puzzle. Thomas's instruments began beeping frantically. "Energy levels are spiking," he called out. It's transmitting something." Soldiers raised their weapons as a beam of intense blue light shot straight up into the night sky, punching through clouds and disappearing into the darkness above. Amara's lighter, still clutched in her hand, grew warm. "Get those readings." Blackwood barked at her team. "And somebody tell me what the hell it's signaling." "Not signaling," Amara whispered, understanding dawning. "It's responding." She held up the lighter, its silver surface now covered in shifting patterns identical to those on the structure. "This isn't just a family heirloom. My father, he must have known." The colonel's composure cracked. "Your father was Richard Singh, the physicist who disappeared in '89. Memories flooded back, her father's late nights, his obsession with ancient sites, the mysterious equations she'd found in his study after he vanished. He hadn't abandoned them. He'd been preparing. A holographic display suddenly erupted from the structure's center, filling the air with alien script that rotated and transformed. Thomas worked frantically at his tablet. "It's a mathematical sequence," he said, excitement overriding his fear. But it's not just numbers, it's coordinates, locations. The other sites, Amara breathed. She turned to Blackwood. "Colonel, we need to move fast. Whatever this is, it's part of a system, a network, and we just turned it on." The Colonel's radio crackled to life. "Ma'am, we're getting reports. The other sites, they're activating. All of them." The ground trembled as the structure's transformation continued. Panels shifted, revealing chambers and corridors that had been sealed for millennia. The air filled with the scent of ozone and something else, something alien. "Dr. Singh," Blackwood said, her voice tight, "I'm giving you exactly 1 minute to convince me why I shouldn't order an immediate tactical strike on all sites." Amara held up her father's lighter, its patterns now pulsing in sync with the structure. "Because this isn't a weapon, Colonel. It's a key. My father found it, studied it. He knew humanity wasn't ready then, but he made sure someone would be, when the time came." She stepped toward the structure, drawn by an inexplicable certainty. "These beings, whoever they were, they left us a choice. Destruction or enlightenment. It depends on how we approach it. That's why the key had to be something simple, human. They're testing us." A new sound emerged from the structure, a harmonious resonance that seemed to vibrate through their very bones. More panels shifted, revealing an entrance, an invitation. "We've got movement at the other sites," someone called out. "Similar configurations. They're waiting." Colonel Blackwood studied Amara for a long moment, then made a decision. "Stand down," she ordered her troops. "Dr. Singh, you have 1 hour. Show me why I shouldn't regret this." As Amara approached the entrance, Thomas at her side, she felt the weight of the moment. Her father had sacrificed everything to prepare for this. Now, standing at the threshold of humanity's greatest discovery, she understood why. The structure wasn't just alien technology, it was a crossroads. And humanity's next step would determine not just their future, but their place in a universe that was suddenly, undeniably watching. "Ready?" she asked Thomas, whose fingers were flying across his tablet, recording everything. "Not even slightly," he replied with a nervous laugh. "But when has that ever stopped science?" Together, they stepped into the light, while behind them, across the globe, 11 other sites pulsed in harmony, awaiting humanity's response to a question 50,000 years in the making. Echoes of the past. The interior of the structure defied conventional physics. Corridors stretched impossibly, their walls lined with flowing symbols that cast a phosphorescent glow. Amara's lighter had become a compass, its patterns shifting to guide them deeper into the alien labyrinth. "These markings," Thomas said, his tablet struggling to process the data, "they're not just a language. They're alive somehow, changing based on our presence." Colonel Blackwood followed close behind, her tactical flashlight beam swallowed by the ambient glow. Similar reports from the other sites. Each structure is identical, but they're all responding differently to human interaction. They reached a vast chamber that seemed to defy Euclidean geometry. The ceiling arched upward into darkness, while the floor was an intricate mosaic of shifting patterns. At the center stood a pillar of light that stretched from floor to infinity. "Energy readings are off the scale," Thomas reported. "But it's not any form of radiation we know. It's pure information." Amara approached the pillar, her father's lighter pulsing faster. The patterns on its surface had aligned perfectly with those on the chamber walls. "Dad," she whispered, "what did you find?" As if in response, the pillar flared. A voice filled the chamber, not sound, but pure thought translated into understanding. The key bearer returns. Protocol initiated. The air shimmered, and a figure materialized, humanoid but clearly artificial, its form composed of interweaving lines of light. When it spoke, its words carried the weight of millennia. We are the archivists. We were tasked with observing, preserving, and when the time came, guiding. Your species has reached the threshold. Blackwood's hand instinctively moved to her weapon. Threshold of what? Understanding. The figure turned to Amar. Your progenitor, the one you call father, he glimpsed our purpose. He knew humanity needed time. The key was entrusted to him, to be passed on when the moment was right. Images filled the air around them, stars, galaxies, civilizations rising and falling across vast stretches of time. Amara watched, transfixed, as the history of the universe unfolded before them. We are not the first, the archivist continued, nor will we be the last, but we were tasked with preserving the knowledge of those who came before. Your species has reached a crucial junction. The choice you make here will determine your path. Thomas's tablet sparked and died, overwhelmed by the energy surrounding them. Choice. What choice? The archivist's form shifted, becoming more defined. Your world stands on the brink of multiple catastrophes, environmental, social, technological. You have the potential for greatness, but also for self-destruction. We offer a choice, guidance or independence. The chamber filled with new images, two possible futures. In one, humanity reached the stars, but at a terrible cost, leaving Earth a wasteland. In the other, a slower but sustainable advancement, preserving their world, but taking centuries longer to achieve their destiny. The quick path, the archivist explained, with our direct intervention. We provide technology, solutions, but humanity becomes dependent on external guidance. Or the lone path. We provide knowledge of principles only, allowing your species to develop naturally, maintaining its independence. Amara's mind raced. The other sites, they're showing this to governments across the world. Correct. The choice must be unanimous. All must agree, or the archives will remain sealed. Colonel Blackwood's radio crackled with incoming reports. Similar conversations were happening at every site. World leaders were being briefed. Humanity faced its greatest decision. Your father, the archivist turned to Amara, chose not to activate the key in his time. He saw that humanity wasn't ready for unity. Are you ready now? Amara clutched the lighter, feeling its warmth. Her father had carried this burden alone, knowing the world needed to change before this choice could be offered. He hadn't abandoned his family. He'd been protecting all of humanity. The timing of this activation is not random, the archivist continued. Your world approaches multiple tipping points. The next 50 years will determine if humanity survives its adolescence. The chamber hummed with potential, the weight of the moment pressing down on them. In similar chambers across the globe, representatives of humanity faced the same choice, quick salvation with subtle servitude, or a harder path, maintaining their independence. How long? Blackwood asked, her military bearing softening. How long do we have to decide? The archivist's form pulsed. Until your sun rises. When night touches the last structure, the choice must be made. Choose wisely. Choose unanimously. Or choose not to choose, and we will return to our slumber, leaving humanity to its own fate. As if to emphasize the point, the chamber's patterns began shifting faster, a countdown, beginning in an alien language they all somehow understood. Humanity had mere hours to make perhaps its most important decision. Amara looked at her father's lighter, understanding finally why he'd chosen her to carry it. She wasn't just holding a key to alien technology. She was holding humanity's future, and as the countdown continued, she realized that the real test wasn't just the choice they would make, but whether humanity could unite to make it together. The weight of 50,000 years of waiting hung in the air, while across the globe, humanity faced its moment of truth. The choice. The next few hours transformed the world. As news of the alien structures spread, humanity faced its first truly global moment of decision. Military forces surrounded each site, while governments scrambled to form a unified response. Inside the Atacama structure, Amara watched the countdown continue its relentless march toward dawn. Reports coming in from all sides, Carol Blackwood announced, her voice tense. Russia, China, the EU, everyone seeing the same options, the same choice. Thomas worked frantically at a backup tablet, correlating data from around the globe. Social media is exploding. People are divided. Some want the quick path, others are warning about independence. The whole world is debating. The archivist remained, its luminous form casting shifting shadows as it observed their discussions. Your species excels at division, it noted. Yet unity is required. This is part of the test. Amara studied the two futures displayed before them. The quick path showed gleaming cities, advanced technology, diseases cured, but something felt wrong. The people in those visions seemed diminished somehow. Content, but lacking the fire that drove human innovation. The long path looked harder. Decades of struggle, gradual progress, difficult decisions. But the humans in those visions stood taller, their achievements earned through their own efforts. Her father's lighter pulsed warmly in her hand. "You knew, didn't you?" she whispered to the memory of him. "You knew we'd have to choose between comfort and growth." The chamber's communications system crackled with incoming messages from world leaders. Some nations were leaning toward the quick path, afraid of falling behind if others chose advancement. Others argued fiercely for independence. 3 hours until dawn, Thomas announced, checking the countdown. "We're running out of time." The archivist's form shifted, displaying new images. "Observe your past," it said, showing scenes of human history. "Every great achievement of your species came through struggle, every breakthrough through persistence. Yet now many of you would choose to abandon this path." Carol Blackwood's radio buzzed continuously with updates. Military leaders worldwide are split. Some see the quick path as a strategic necessity. Others. She paused. Others are warning about becoming a client species. Amara walked through the holographic displays, studying both potential futures. Something caught her eye in the quick path vision, subtle but significant. "Look," she pointed. "In the advanced future, there's no art, no music, no sports. We gain technology but lose." "Your spark," the archivist completed. "The chaos that drives your creativity. Your species is unique in its ability to find order in chaos, while maintaining the chaos that breeds innovation." A new message came through. The UN Security Council was deadlocked. Russia and China favored the quick path. The US and Europe advocated for independence. Smaller nations were divided. 2 hours to dawn, Thomas reported grimly. Amara felt the weight of history pressing down. Then she noticed something in the lone path vision, something she'd missed before. "Wait," she said, moving closer to the display. "Look at where we end up. In both futures, we reach the stars. The only difference is how we get there." Blackwood finished, understanding dawning in her eyes. "And who we are when we arrive." The chamber hummed as Amara stepped forward, her father's lighter glowing brighter. "You're not just testing our choice," she said to the archivist. "You're testing our understanding of ourselves." The alien being's form pulsed in what might have been approval. The question has never been whether humanity will reach the stars. The question is what kind of species will arrive there. Amara activated the chamber's global communication system. Her voice would reach every structure, every decision-maker. Listen to me, please. The choice isn't between advancement and stagnation. It's between remaining human, with all our flaws and potential, or becoming something else, something less. She held up the lighter, its patterns now spinning rapidly. My father understood this. The key isn't just technology, it's understanding. We're being offered a chance to prove we know who we are. The chamber fell silent as her words reached across the globe. In the quiet, they could almost feel humanity holding its breath. 1 hour to dawn, Thomas whispered. The next 50 minutes were a blur of negotiations, arguments, and finally, understanding. Nation after nation came to the same realization. The quick path wasn't a gift. It was a surrender of the very qualities that made humanity unique. As the first rays of sun touched the easternmost structure in Japan, humanity had reached its decision. Carol Blackwood received the final confirmation just as dawn approached the Atacama. It's unanimous, she announced, her voice filled with wonder. Every nation, every site. We choose the long path. We choose to remain ourselves. The archivist's form brightened. The choice is made. The test is passed. Around them, the chamber began to transform. The walls shifted, revealing repositories of knowledge, not technology, but understanding. Principles that humanity would need to discover its own path to the stars. We offer not solutions, the archivist said, but foundations, not answers, but better questions. This is our gift to a species that knows itself. As dawn touched the Atacama structure, Amara's father's lighter transformed one final time. Its surface cleared, revealing a simple inscription, to light the way forward. Humanity had chosen its path, the harder road, the human road, and as the sun rose on a changed world, Amara realized that the real journey was just beginning. Dawn of tomorrow. The months following humanity's choice reshaped civilization in ways no one could have predicted. The alien structures didn't disappear or go dormant. Instead, they transformed into what the archivists called beacon points, centers of learning where humanity could access fundamental universal principles when they were ready to understand them. Amara stood at the entrance of the Atacama facility, now bustling with researchers from around the world. The desert wind still whipped sand against the structure's surface, but the alien material remained pristine, its patterns continuously shifting like thoughts made visible. Latest breakthrough from the Mumbai beacon, Thomas announced, approaching with his ever-present tablet. 6 months of studying alien mathematics had left him with a perpetual look of wonder. They'd deciphered another layer of quantum principles. Dr. Pittle thinks we're decades ahead of where we would have been just from understanding the questions we should be asking. Amara smiled, her father's lighter warm in her pocket. It had become a symbol now, displayed in museums around the world as humanity's first key to the stars. But she kept the original. It was, after all, still her father's gift. Carol Blackwood's team just arrived, Thomas continued. The Global Council wants your input on the new educational protocols. The Colonel, now General Blackwood, had been instrumental in creating the International Beacon Authority, ensuring the knowledge gained from the structures would benefit all of humanity equally. It hadn't been easy. Old rivalries and suspicions died hard. But the very act of choosing the long path together had created a foundation of trust that grew stronger each day. Tell me something, Thomas, Amara said, watching researchers enter the structure. Do you ever regret not taking the quick path? He considered the question seriously. Sometimes, when I'm stuck on a problem that alien technology could have solved instantly. But then I see things like this. He held up his tablet, displaying images from around the world. The pictures showed new art installations inspired by alien mathematics, musicians creating harmonies based on quantum frequencies, children's drawings of impossible geometries made real. Humanity hadn't just accepted the harder path, they had embraced it, infusing it with their unique creativity. "We're doing it our way," Thomas said proudly. "Messy, complicated, beautiful human progress." Inside the structure, the archivist's presence had become less frequent, but no less profound. It appeared now only when humanity had proven ready for new understanding, its lessons building upon what they had earned through their own efforts. Dr. Singh. A young researcher rushed up, her eyes bright with excitement. "The Sydney team matched our findings. The principles we discovered about gravity, they're not just theoretical. We can test them. This was how it worked now. No handed-down technology, no shortcuts. Just fundamental truths that humanity had to piece together, each discovery earned through collaboration and insight." Amara followed the researcher inside, where the chamber had become a nexus of human ingenuity. Holographic displays showed projects from around the world, scientists, artists, and dreamers all working together to understand their place in the universe. The archivist appeared briefly, its form somehow warmer than before. "Your species continues to surprise us," it said. "You do not merely learn. You transform knowledge into forms we had not conceived." "That's what humans do," Amara replied. "We don't just discover, we create." The being's form shifted in what she had learned to recognize as amusement. Perhaps that is why the founders chose Earth. They saw in your ancestors what you might become. As the archivist faded, Amara touched her father's lighter, thinking of his choice to wait, to trust in humanity's ability to grow ready for this moment. They had chosen the longer path, but they were walking it together, transforming alien wisdom into uniquely human achievements. Outside, the sun set over the desert, casting long shadows across the sand. But inside the beacon points around the world, humanity's light grew stronger each day. They were writing their own story now, not as recipients of alien guidance, but as authors of their own destiny. Thomas appeared at her side, tablet displaying new data. Ready for tomorrow's challenges. Amara looked at the researchers working around them, each discovery building on the last, each insight uniquely human. The longer path wasn't just about preserving their independence, it was about becoming who they were meant to be. "You know what, Thomas? I think we've been ready all along. We just needed to remember who we are." Above them, the stars waited, no longer distant impossibilities but future destinations. Humanity would reach them in their own time, in their own way. And when they did, they would arrive not as children guided by older races, but as equals who had earned their place among the stars. The choice they had made that dawn had not been the end of humanity's story, it had been the true beginning. And as night fell over the desert, countless minds around the world worked together, lighting the way forward, one human discovery at a time. In her pocket, her father's lighter pulsed softly, its warmth a reminder that sometimes the greatest gift is not the answers, but the chance to find them for ourselves.